Millions of American students are crushed by student loan debt. That is nothing new in America. But what is new is that we have a president who has, at least in theory, promised to do something about it. But is he actually going to? And if so, for how much? How much relief is actually coming? Joining us now to talk about both what might happen with Biden and the general topic is the Debt Collective Organizing Director and Biden Jubilee striker, Umme Hoque. Welcome to the Damage Report.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here. So before we launch into Biden, what he's said, what he might do, can you tell us a little bit about the Debt Collective?
Absolutely. The Debt Collective is a union of debtors, and we are coming together to demand things that we used to have as public goods in this country, and also things that should just be public goods in this country, like college for all, Medicare for all, and housing for all. Really building a society where we can all truly live and thrive.
And so you mentioned that it's a collective of people in debt. When we transition to Biden and what he might do with student debt, you have this Biden Jubilee 100. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so last week we launched our Biden Jubilee 100 campaign, and that is 100 folks from around the country hold student debt, and we symbolically represent Joe Biden's first 100 days in office, and we are all on debt strike. So I am one of the Biden Jubilee 100. I have over $70,000 in student loan debt, and I refuse to pay it until Joe Biden commits to not just pay some small amount of it, he commits to cancel all of it. We're demanding full student debt for the 45 million people in this country that hold student loan debt.
So let's talk a little bit about that and what might come. So Joe Biden has talked about this in the past. Last year, he tweeted, we should forgive a minimum of $10,000 per person of federal student loans as proposed by Senator Warren and colleagues. Young people and other student debt holders bore the brunt of the last crisis. It shouldn't happen again. So here he's saying 10,000. And after the election, he sort of went back to saying 10,000, even though there are others saying unlimited debt forgiveness. Even Chuck Schumer said 50,000. So I haven't seen any indication from him that he's willing to go higher, but do you hope that that might happen? Are you seeing, based on the action that you're undertaking, that there might be sufficient pressure to get him to go higher?
I think we go higher. When our communities are in a situation like none other, with the pandemic, with debts, with work, with people losing homes, and those are obviously the people who are struggling the most right now. So what we really need right now is full-scale cancellation and abolition of debt. And the only way that we'll be able to get Joe Biden to do that, and for the Democrats to take this seriously, is for us to continue to build pressure. That's why we've gone on debt strike. That's why we're talking to folks in our communities. That's why we're getting more people involved in this campaign, because we know how many people this impacts. All of the data shows that this is an issue that bipartisanly is supported. People across the country care about this issue. We just need to make that number higher. The fact that Joe Biden has talked about it is a great step forward, but we're going to continue to put pressure and to make sure that he hears from us so that that number goes up and up. And that's why we were asking for other people to join the campaign as well and to get involved, because we know that it's going to take a lot of people power to win this. But we also know that people need this support right now. Trying to change the lives of 45 million people, it's going to cost a lot of money, but that's all money that can be taken away with the stroke of a pen. This is actually an authority that the president already has. It won't change anyone's taxes. It's a really simple way to provide relief to millions of people, and that's why we're calling full cancellation.
And just to be clear, in terms of his authority to do this, there's nothing that says the president can cancel $10,000 of debt, but if it goes to 20,000 or 50,000, it needs to go through Congress, right? In theory, any threshold he sets up is one that he is setting up.
Absolutely. The president has the authority. It's been granted to him from Congress. So there's no need to talk about what the figure could be. He literally has the power, and he should. That's what people need right now.
So, I have a lot of other questions I want to ask you, but in terms of, so you said that you hold $70,000 in debt. So let's say in theory, he could cancel 10,000 or he could cancel all of it. What difference will that make to your life going forward?
I mean, it'll make a huge amount of difference. Actually, we have a whole website, the Biden Jubilee 100 website, where you can go on the site and actually read the personal stories of everyone who's on strike and what it would mean if we had that debt canceled. And what you'll see is probably some of the people who are watching the video, the things that people have put on pause or put on hold as they're paying off these debts. The ability to buy a house, the ability to start a family, the ability to really live and thrive, not to be stressed out every single day because of these hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars that you have to pay every month. Many people have student loan debt who didn't even graduate from college. There wasn't even that benefit of having a degree or something like that, but those are still paid. It's really limited generations of people. In this moment, there is an opportunity for Joe Biden to do something that would transform so many people, and in that way would also just provide so much benefit to our economy and our local communities. If I didn't have to pay my loan debt, I would be able to buy a home or my family better or support my local business, or all of these things that actually just mean that money is going back into our community, back to our country, and helping so many people thrive right now.
So, and thank you so much for talking about that. I think, thankfully, a lot of people in the audience probably also are struggling with student loan debt. So for them, it's very easy to imagine what that world could look like. As you pointed out, this is very popular. It's one of the reasons Biden ran on it, is because it's so popular. But I have noticed whenever I advocate for the cancellation of student loan debt, there's an argument that I often hear from a certain sort of person. I'd like to get your response to it. And that is that, but I already paid off my student loans. Why should I care if the government pays off other people's? What do you think about that argument?
I have a lot of respect for people who have paid off their student loans if they chose to do that. But this is actually not an individual problem. It's not a situation where we're talking specifically about my student loan debt, although it can really feel like that. This is actually a problem with our political system, higher education in this country. If we want to live in a society that really values people and really makes sure that we are set up so that other generations of people can go to school and really thrive and really contribute, then we need to make sure that people can afford to go. Currently, student loan debt is the cost of social mobility in this country. It's not possible to pull oneself up by the bootstrap. It really does cost poor people money, literally just to get ahead. And if that's the case, then we need to make this system fairer. It needs to be ways for people to be able to achieve their dreams without having to get saddled in tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt, which is creating all of these other implications on our society and our community. So I think that it's not just about this debt cancellation. It is about what are they're all taking as a country to make sure that higher education is a public good. And the first step in that is canceling the debt and then moving us all toward a trajectory where higher education can be a public good and affordable for everyone.
Finally, I wanted to ask you about one angle that you don't often in the media see talked about when student loan debt is talked about, and it's one that you talked about in an op-ed that you wrote recently for The Guardian, which is the link between student loan debt and systemic racism. It's something I actually just saw, I believe it was earlier today, new Representative Jamal Bowman was tweeting about that. So can you tell me a little bit about the link between those two things?
Yeah, like many things, the way that student loan debt and the changes and what I was talking about before around higher education being a public good in this country as it used to be maybe 40 or 50 years ago, all of those changes really come about because of reactionary Republican ideology and lots of policy changes that were impacted because of that. So during the Reagan era, we saw cuts in federal education spending, which was then duplicated with cuts in state spending. So the rise in student loan debt is actually a recent problem in our country. Within the past 10 years, it has increased by 100%. And so all of these things are really tied to systemic racism in our country. The Reagan era was when more people of color, more Black and brown communities were actually going to school. You can see an increase in enrollment around that time, and you can also see an increase in people of color taking out debt. And so there's a very close correlation where if you are someone who's going to school for the first time, you're going to many families will need to take out student loan debt to be able to go to school. If the cost of tuition is rising, then there's actually lots of data that show people who are holding student loan debt are Black and brown people, other people from communities of color, and they're the ones who are struggling the most and defaulting on their loans the most as well. Canceling student loan debt does not equal racial justice, but it is absolutely a step in that direction. It will close the racial wage gap and be able to provide support to a lot of communities of color that are really struggling right now. And so it's a real opportunity that Joe Biden has to not only provide relief to millions of Americans from across the country, but also to really address a problem in this country around racial justice and the experience of people of color trying to go to school.
If someone watching this wants to find out more or support the strike, what can they do?
Yeah, they should definitely check out the Debt Collective. We're on all of the social media channels on our website as well, and get involved. We've got the website that I mentioned where you can read the stories of the strikers and learn more about that. We have a petition. You can join the union directly on our website. You can join the campaign as well. We're going to need people power to win this, so highly encourage it. Definitely get involved. And yeah, love to see you.
Umme Hoque, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.